We are ready for another fun training tonight, and I am excited to talk to you tonight about overcoming objections and closing the sale. So I can tell you I have used a lot of advice from my husband on this topic because this is not something that I naturally knew how to do in any way. He is in pharmaceutical sales, and so this has always been something that came more naturally to him because he's done it for 20 or 30 years now. And so we have lots of tips and tricks and techniques that have come from him, and then also others who are leaders in this industry and how they say we should be closing sales. So first, we have an awesome testimony coming. Vicki Heinrich, I unmuted you, I think. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. You can hear me?
I can hear you. So Vicki is going to share her testimony with us, and then we will get started with our training. So go ahead.
Okay. Well, many of you already know my testimonial, but I'm actually, for this time, I did it several months ago. This time I actually didn't think about it at all today. And I thought I would just do it the way I would normally do it if I just happened to see somebody and I decided to start talking about it versus being all prepared and having note cards and all that other stuff. So how I came to be using Plexus and working with Plexus is I had been watching Liza's post for about a year, and I thought that it was a fad diet. And I was not interested in fad diets whatsoever. I was into exercise and eating right. And I had a wonderful woman at Appleton Nutrition, Shelley, that was my supplement guru. And I would always go to her whenever I had any new thing that I wanted to try and get her suggestions on things. So I had a cupboard full of all the best supplements and probiotics. I also thought, I biked all the time. I would do 150 to 200 miles a week in biking. But so when I saw Liza's post, I didn't think that it applied to me until for some reason I started paying attention. She was posting something a little bit differently, and I started to realize that it was more of into health. And at the time, when I say that I was biking 150 to 200 miles, that was like my what I was holding on to, because that made me feel like everything else seemed to be going wrong in my body. And as long as I could do that and I could push myself through that, it wasn't pleasant, but at least it was the thing that made me feel like I wasn't totally out of control of my body. In order to do that, I would wake up and have a caffeine pill. And then I'd take sports energizers and drinks to get on the bike. When I actually started with Plexus, and let me explain. I would put on a cute outfit or something like that, and by the afternoon I would be so bloated that it would be horribly uncomfortable. By the evening, my shoes would be so tight because my feet would be so swollen and my hands would be so swollen. I've had IBS since I was in my early 20s, and there would be days where there was no movement with my digestive system, and I had tried every different supplement that there was. I tried cleanses as often as I could possibly do cleanses. And I'd even had prescription medications. When I started also, my hair was really unhealthy. My skin was very unhealthy. My nails were so cracked. And I knew that meant that I was unhealthy. My feet were itchy and cracked. And it wasn't just because I wasn't taking good care of them. So that's where I was at when I started and when I met with Liza, and I didn't know what exactly it was going to do for me. Now my digestive system works every single day. My hair, my nails, my skin, I don't have any breakouts anymore. I used to have occasional adult acne. I don't have that anymore. I don't have itchy feet anymore. The swelling in my hands and feet are completely gone. I think they were gone within probably the first 2 months. They were completely gone. And I'm able to wear shoes and my feet don't swell up by the end of the day. Let me see what else. Of course, I used to eat big, huge bowls of popcorn in the end of the evening, and I couldn't get away from that big, massive bowl of popcorn. That doesn't happen anymore. I eat just when I'm hungry. One of the biggest things for me is that I really do love exercising. And one of the most amazing things right now is that when I get back on my bike now, if I would, I can go like 3 or 4 days in a row of hard biking and get on the bike the next day and my legs feel like completely refreshed. And then that to me is amazing, because before, even last year, if I did a hard ride, it would take me 3 days to recover from that. And then I'd even be like, my legs would just be just dragging, like, and I know that there's some sort of cycling that your system has to do to get all those, I'm not a dietitian, I'm not a doctor, so I don't know exactly what's going on, but I knew my system wasn't cycling fast enough to get everything out. So that's what it's done for me. And on the business side, I'm in a job in real estate. I've been in this job for 20 years. And it was always my goal, once my children got raised, that I was going to dive back in full-time into real estate. But unfortunately, real estate can sometimes be a very negative place to be. There's a lot of stress associated with it. And Plexus came into my life at just the right time, when I was really looking for something that would be more fulfilling, where it could be my own, that I could do it for myself, meaning it would be my business that I could be proud of. And this has just been so much more than I ever thought was possible. The fact that I have to make myself better to help other people is like, it's like what you do with your children, where, you want to give everything to them, and you then watch it, them grow and expand. And it's been a wonderful thing.
That's awesome. And you were able to go part-time in real estate now, right?
I went part-time in January, and I can't wait until I don't have to go in those 4 hours, because I so much enjoy working the Plexus business, and it's so fulfilling. And there's so many different things, like whether it's product training, or whether it's, listening to John Maxwell, or like I was coming home from Madison and I was listening to like servant leadership podcast. Yeah. I mean, you just get all this great information, and then I have to go into my real estate job, and it's like, okay, out again, and have beautiful contacts and all the fun that I usually have with my Plexus business.
Oh, good. Well, thank you very much. That is awesome. I love your story. And I love hearing from athletes who thought everything was going really well before, didn't think it was for them, and then totally saw that it is. It's for everybody. So thank you for sharing. Awesome. All right. I love it. I love hearing all the different testimonies every week. Next week, we'll have somebody different giving a testimony, and every week going forward, if you've never been on one of our calls, we try to do this just about every week, give a testimony. So tonight, we are talking about skepticism and objections, and then closing the sale, because we don't want to talk about dealing with the skepticism without then saying, what do we do with it? How do we address it? And then where do we go from there? So I hope you have your paper ready and are ready to take some notes, because we have some great language that you can learn and grow with on this call that should help you in your business. So let's get started with the fact that skepticism is totally normal, you guys. Normal. We are all going to come across people, pretty much every single person we talk to, who is skeptical and who has objections. That's just simply a lack of information. So it's not a bad thing. It just means they don't know enough information. And so don't fear skepticism. Don't fear people who have objections, because that actually gives us a great opportunity to educate people. It gives us a great opportunity to brag on our company. Whether they're skeptical about the company, we could brag about that. If they're skeptical about the business, we could brag about our compensation plan. If they're skeptical about the products, we can brag about how amazing our products are. So it's a really great opportunity. Melissa Martin, who is a soon-to-be Sapphire ambassador, says she loves skeptics because she loves that opportunity to talk with them, to educate them, and to really brag. And so, think of it that way. It's not a negative thing at all. The one thing that can make skeptics negative in your life is if you're not prepared for them. So you need to be prepared. And so one of the things you can do to be prepared is have knowledge. Knowledge is power. You need to have knowledge about our products. not knowing everything. I'd never ask anybody, I don't know everything about these products. Nobody on our team would claim that they know everything about these products, but knowledge is power. Know about the products, know things about the company and the compensation plan so that you have the power to tell someone and educate someone about these things when they start to question, and have confidence. And we're doing some confidence type training on my team page, Plexus with a Purpose. So if you haven't gone out and seen the post today, you should go back out and see that and comment on it that you want to be a part of what we're doing, where we're kind of dealing with the same idea of confidence in ourselves, confidence in network marketing, in our company, in our products. So that's totally, I didn't do it on purpose, but that's totally what we're doing right now. So it ties in perfectly. So at the bottom or the top of your screen, you have a chat. That might help you. You'll see where your chat pops up. And so for a minute, I just want you guys to write down, chat out to me, the top objections that you deal with in your business. You can talk about business objections, people who want to join the company, but they say, oh, but whatever, I'm not going to give you ideas because I don't want to steal your ideas. Or you can talk about the products. There we go. We got some coming. So tell me what objections you deal with. And I think we're going to see a lot of them are very similar. And we're going to talk about how we address those. So I'm going to give you a second to think about that, and I'm going to be quiet. You guys got tons. I love it. All right, I'll give you another couple of seconds. So here are some of the ones I'm seeing so far. We've got product cost, not having time for the business. Cost always is an issue. Expensive. Cost again. Not seeing results fast enough. That's a great one. Not having the time to sell it. Cost, not a salesperson. Okay, so some duplicates, which is great. Need to ask my doctor. I eat organic. I'm not tired. I don't need them. Yep. Not seeing results, cost, clinical studies, the silent objection. Have you read a book on all this? That's not fair. You're cheating. No, I'm just kidding. Long-term effects, expensive. Doctor said no. Great. These are all. I'm not going to go through all of them. So I would say some of the top ones I'm seeing are definitely time. When it becomes time for an ambassador, I'm writing these down as our top 5. Cost is definitely an issue. So you guys said not seeing results fast enough. I was going to ask for 5, and my 6th one was the silence as an objection. So somebody beat me to it, which is awesome. I'm glad you guys know about this stuff. Let me see. What else would you say is another? We need a 4th and a 5th. What else did y'all see came in a lot of times? We've got time, cost, results coming fast enough. Silent objection. I'm maybe looking for 1 or 2, or we'll just move on. Oh, yeah. Don't know anybody, don't have enough people. The size of your network is a big one. And we might go with that. All right, so we have 5. So we're going to talk about those, and you can address it with everything that you just mentioned is going to be able to be addressed with what we're going to learn tonight, which is great. But we will kind of focus on some of those top ones. Oh, I do like that. You can get all that from Vitamins Over the Counter. So, the value of the products, I would say, above others is a great one, definitely. Okay. So we're going to talk about the time that it takes to be an ambassador, the cost of the products, seeing results, not knowing anyone, the size of your network, the value of the products, and then the silence, the unspoken concern or objection, which I'm sure lots of us, like when I was actually doing a lot of research on this, I'm like, yes, I never thought of silence as an objection, but it really is. It's just a quiet And so it's great to know that. So let's talk about some things that we can do to address that. So the first thing we really want to focus on doing is asking questions. And they need to be open-ended questions. A lot of them need to be the what, why, when, how, who, truly opening someone's conversation up. What do you mean? Tell me more. Those are ways to expand on it. But here are some neat sentences that you can kind of keep and, maybe go back through this recording later and write some of these down or write them down now. But I know I talk too fast to write things down like right away. But I see you're hesitant. Do you mind telling me what you're thinking? It's a very open-ended question. It's opening them up to considering, why is it you're hesitant? I'd love to just hear it. It's conversational. Once they've answered that question, then you're going to want to say, tell me more, or what do you mean, or how, who, however it is to keep that conversation going. I'm in no way saying that you can handle an objection with one question and you're like, okay, let's go. I've got my answer, done. Not at all saying that. This is conversational, but it's a great opening question. I see you're hesitant. Do you mind telling me what you're thinking? Or truly just ask them outright, what is your biggest concern when considering Plexus? Let them just tell you, it's money, it's time, it's this, it's whatever. A lot of times we don't know because we just don't simply ask. Obviously you have a reason for saying that or feeling this way. Do you mind me asking what that reason is? So why do you feel that way? Sometimes it's something, and we're going to go through some examples, but sometimes it's simple as, well, I've already tried every diet there is out there and none of them work. So what makes you think this is going to work? But you have to get to that. What makes you feel this way? Well, because I already tried them all. I've tried everything out there. They all don't work. And then you know where that person is coming from. I love this one. If somebody says, money is really an issue or time is really an issue, putting money or time, whatever it is, putting money aside, what else holds you back from doing this? Sometimes they might say, well, it's also, putting money aside, what else stops you, holds you back from trying Plexus? Well, it's also the time. I don't have time. So really they're kind of showing you that they've got multiple issues that you're going to have to work through with them, that it's not just money, it's also the time. And in knowing that, you're going to better be able to approach them. Because if you go into something just thinking, okay, it's a money thing, I'm going to clear up this money thing and they're going to buy, it's going to be great. And then at the end, they're like, well, no, I don't have time for that either. And you're like, why didn't you just tell me that? So, you can ask that. It's a secondary question. Okay, you've told me money's an issue. Putting that aside, awesome, sorry. Putting that aside, what else might bother you? Sorry about the dog. I think somebody's at my front door. Crystal, I think that's your husband. Okay, and then with the money issue, another really great question is how much money is too much money? So if somebody says to you, I don't have the money for that, I can't afford that. Well, tell me what you could afford. How much money would you be able to afford for supplements that are going to change your life? So say you're talking to somebody about buying the Slim, and they say, well, I could afford like $50. And you're thinking, okay, well, the Slim's only $79.95 as a preferred customer. Then you really have to focus on the $29 they can't afford because they've just told you they can afford $50. And so it changes your perspective. You're not trying to sell them on $79.95 anymore. You're trying to help them see where they can make up that $29.95. Does that make sense? So opening and asking those questions is actually going to help you to have a good dialogue. And again, these are like starter questions, but from those questions, you have to ask more. What, the when, the what do you mean, tell me more, to tease all of those things out to get better information. So super important when you're asking questions is to be actively listening. And so what does active listening look like? Active listening is leaning in and giving somebody eye contact. It is acknowledging that you hear them. You might be nodding your head. Yep. You're not interrupting them. You're not cutting them off because you've got something amazing you've got to tell them right this second. And like for some of us, that's really hard. Like I am one who just has to shut my mouth and not, say whatever's coming to my mind or whatever. You have to Lean in, nod your head, acknowledge, maybe take notes. Some people really, appreciate that and also value the writing it down so they don't forget, so you can go back to that conversation later. Take notes when you're talking to someone. Don't spend the time that you consider active listening forming in your head what you're going to say next. That's not active listening. Don't interrupt people, and ask for clarification when you don't understand something. Now, I will say, when you're asking for clarification, I like to, and Melissa Martin says this too, put it back on yourself and say, I'm sorry, I didn't understand that. Or, you can be funny. Like, something I would say is, okay, I'm having a blonde moment. Like, can we go through that again? Because I didn't quite catch that. You know what I mean? It's totally my fault. I'm in no way saying you're not speaking well. Nothing you say makes sense. Like, I'm not putting it off on them that they're not explaining themselves well. It's just something I didn't catch. Something didn't go right with what my perception of what they just said. And if I don't understand something, when they clarify it, I'm going to say, okay, so what you're saying is, you really feel like this costs too much money and da-da-da-da-da. Because then I know that they know that I actually understood what they said. So we're actively listening. And so we're having these conversations, we're teasing out answers because we're asking open-ended questions, and then we're finding out what their issue is. And we already know a lot of the main issues. You guys have gone through and given a great discussion on what a lot of our issues are. So how can we address those issues? Some things that we can say include, that certainly makes sense, however. So you're validating what they said, but then you're explaining to them why it may not be right. It may be something that they haven't seen your point of view or whatever. It certainly makes sense, however, and I'll go through a few examples in a minute. I can appreciate that concern, but the feel, felt, found. These are all different ways that we can address what they're saying and kind of show them, okay, I totally get what you're saying, but here's the other side to that. So if you haven't heard about feel, felt, found before, it is, I understand how you feel. I felt the very same way, but what I found was whatever. And again, we'll talk about some examples in a minute. That's the one I go to 100% of the time. That is my comfort statement. Like, I can just whip that one out like that, and I don't have to think it through, and I don't stammer over my words. Totally understand how you feel. I felt the very same way. Or my friend Jen felt the very same way. My husband felt the very same way. I mean, I don't lie. I tell the truth. But what we found, what he found, what I found is whatever. And I'll give you examples in a second. You can rephrase what they said. So say someone says something like, no diets work. I mean, this just isn't for me. It never works. And I don't know why I would even try. You might say something like, but what if this was the last diet you had to try? What if this one actually did work and you never had to try another one? You clearly try a lot of them. What if this is the one? What could it hurt you? And so you're kind of twisting around their words and asking them a question back. But what if it did work? What do you have to lose? Just as a way to rephrase their concern and spin it into a positive. All right. So where are my questions? So some examples. Somebody said something, I do believe, let me go get back to my, the cost and the time. So let's see if we have some examples that time is a great one. I can totally appreciate that concern that you don't have the time. However, would it be worth spending 15 minutes a day learning about our products and growing a business in order to bring in $100, $500, or $1,000 a month for your family? That's a valid question, y'all. I appreciate that concern. So you're acknowledging what they're saying. I completely appreciate what you're saying. But, however, would it be worth finding 15 minutes in your day to watch some videos and learn in order to bring in $100, $500, or $1,000 a month for your family? You have to ask them. And it kind of goes along with the cost. You can kind of spin the same idea. I completely understand how you feel. I mean, I would use the feel, felt, found on cost. I understand how you feel. I felt the very same way. But what I found was for our family, we were able to drop coffee, drop junk food, no more Starbucks runs. Prescription copays went way down. Trips to Walgreens, if you want to be super compliant, if you're putting this in writing, my trips to Walgreens went way down. And I found that these products actually save my family money. Or I found that my health and my value to my children when I'm a nice mom instead of a grumpy mom is worth any price that I have to pay. There's a lot of ways that you can say, I totally get what you're saying, but what I found was X. And I told you before, you know what? What if it does work? You can't benefit from something that you don't give it a try. So if somebody's saying, I've tried everything, this isn't going to work, turn it around. You know what? But what if it does? You'll never know until you try. If somebody's talking about, I don't know. I mean, my doctor probably won't even be interested in this, and I just need to take this to my doctor. This is a great answer. You just say, I totally appreciate that. That is no problem. I think you should take these to your doctor and ask them to check out the ingredients. When do you think you'll be able to go? When do you think you'll be able to go talk to your doctor? And they say, well, I've got an appointment on, May 1st or May 10th or whatever. Obviously, if it weren't May 1st yet. And they say, okay, awesome. Would you mind if I followed up with you after that doctor's appointment? I'm going to stick that in my calendar and I'll follow up with you after that date. You acknowledge, I think that's great. Don't ever be afraid for somebody to take their prescription or take their ingredients, our ingredients, to their doctor. Few and far between are the doctors who tell them, and I usually tell people how to word it. I say, what I would say is, Dr. So-and-so, would you check these ingredients and see if anything in this is going to hurt me? That's what we asked my doctor. And he said, no, nothing's going to hurt you. It's going to be a waste of your money. I mean, little did he know, he was not right. And he eats crow now when I see him. But, it was very easy for me to say, is there anything in this that's going to hurt me? And that's what I tell people to say. I think it's a great idea that you take this to your doctor for confidence. Go in there, and what I'd suggest is you give them the list of ingredients and say, is there anything in this that's going to hurt me? And see what they say. When are you able to go? And then you see that when they're going, say, great, would you mind if I followed up with you after that appointment? No, I don't mind. Okay, great. Putting it in my calendar, and that'll be the next time I start up my discussion with them again. Okay, the I'm going to eat right and exercise. We're going back to that. That certainly makes sense. I understand that. However, when I tried to do that, my cravings overtook my willpower, and I ended up eating a sleeve of Oreos, or I ate every kid's snack in my house, and I wasn't able to do it, and I still was exhausted and a totally crabby mama. You just have to, I totally understand where you're coming from. It makes sense. However, didn't work for me. And it doesn't work for most people. And, you can just say, it doesn't work for most people. It's a great idea, and I totally wish we all could do that, but our bodies aren't built that way, and it really doesn't work. How has that worked for you in the past? Don't call them out. I mean, it's not being rude, but just, how has it worked for you in the past? Has that actually worked? Did it last long term? Or was it like me? Did you struggle like me where that sleeve of Oreos started calling your name and you had no willpower over it? These products help to give you that willpower that you didn't have or don't have. A great one is pyramid scheme. I'm not doing this. That is a pyramid scheme. And I'm sure every single one of us, if you have not heard that, you will hear that. This is not a pyramid scheme, y'all. It is not. But what you can say is, I can totally appreciate that concern. However, I would never be a part of a pyramid scheme because those are illegal. And we have amazing products that we sell. We have an amazing compensation plan. We are a direct marketing company. It's a way to market our products, but it is in no way illegal, in no way a pyramid scheme. Pyramid schemes don't have actual products. They just shift money around from one person to the other and are completely illegal. Definitely not something I would do. You don't have to get upset about it. You don't have to feel offended by it. You don't have to feel, pushed back by it. You just simply state, oh my gosh, I totally hear what you're saying. I wondered about that too. I had to go Google what a pyramid scheme was. Not what our company is. And I would never be a part of that. That is illegal. Okay, so we have lots of statements. We have lots of questions we can ask. And then let's just assume we've kind of addressed their issue and they seem to be interested. They seem to be excited. They haven't brought up a new issue. They haven't sat there and crossed their arms and pouted like, they're not happy. And so we're going to go into it assuming that they are going to end this day or this conversation as either a preferred customer or an ambassador. You have to go into it with no apologies. You have to go into it knowing that our products and our compensation plan absolutely change lives. And so with that, you might have along the way been saying, or you can say right now, Sally, I know you want to feel better so that you can play with your kids every day. Girl, I know that you need this money for your family, and I'm so excited by how this compensation plan can help you. You want to build them up, and you want them to kind of be like, yeah, no, I know. I agree. I mean, Sally, don't you need extra energy? Didn't you say that, you really are looking for something because you're so tired after every afternoon, you're not enjoying spending time with your kids? Bring it back to their why and build them up in that way. I know that this is something that's really going to help you with getting, that family vacation put together, which I know is so important to you, whatever. You stay focused. You don't get off topic. You make sure they remember that there's a 60-day money-back guarantee, or that there's no, contract or obligation. You might say something like, I know you're so excited. I'm so excited for you with this. And I know that these products are going to be exactly what you need to get that energy so you can be playing with your kids again like you want so desperately. Girl, there's a 60-day money-back guarantee. Don't forget about that. And don't feel like that's going to put some funniness between our friendship, because we're going to be good. And then you go in for the sale. You close the deal. You do not leave it open-ended like, okay, bye. Hope you go to my website. Like, ask for the sale. And so this is the part you really have to practice. And this is the part you have to find wording that you are comfortable with, because everybody's going to be different. Some of the wording that I like to use is, again, I'm so excited for you. Like, I'm a cheerleader, y'all. If you haven't figured out that yet, I wasn't a cheerleader, but in this business, I am a cheerleader. And so I love to say, I'm so excited for you. And I know that the energy you're going to get is going to be so amazing. Your kids are going to be so excited when you're out there on the trampoline with them in the afternoons, whatever. So let's go ahead and get that order placed. Are you interested in being a preferred customer or an ambassador? And then you can say, if they're sitting right there with you, let's get my computer loaded up and let's get you going. Girl, I am excited for you. You ready to be a preferred customer or an ambassador? And then see what they say. Or say, let me send you directions on how to get on my website. Or let's set a date when we can talk again and I can help you, join or help you set up your customer account or whatever. But you have to ask for the sale. Are you ready? Preferred customer or ambassador? Or maybe which one. Maybe you two have talked just along the whole way and they're going to be a customer. And that's fine. Don't pressure them. If they know all the information and they're aware of what the ambassadorship is and they're dead set on being a customer, then say, you know what? I'm so excited. And, you're going to have all this energy and da-da-da. Let's get you signed up as that preferred customer. You're going to have that 60-day money-back guarantee. This is going to be awesome. Do you have time tomorrow that I can walk you through this process? Or I'm going to send you the directions tonight. Do you have time tomorrow that we can talk about this? Or whatever it is, however that conversation naturally goes for you, but close the deal. Ask for the sale. If they say nothing, then, if you haven't heard from them in 24 hours or whatever, then maybe you go back and, hey, are we good? Whatever. But more than likely, if you're face-to-face or if you're in a conversation on the phone or whatever, and they go, well, I don't know. Melissa, I don't know. You're just da-da-da-da, whatever it is, then you have to start this whole process all over. And you have to go back into the talking it out and asking the questions, because obviously you haven't gotten through all the objections. And you can even ask, did I not really answer your questions well? Did I not really give you a good explanation as to why the price should not be an issue or the time should not be an issue? And you go, no, I totally get that. I'm good with the time. Okay, then what else is holding you back from doing this? You see what I'm saying? You'll have to tease it out and ask questions to get through the objections, and then close the deal. And so this isn't necessarily going to come naturally. I think for most people, this takes a lot of practice. And for me, I've had to write out what I would say kind of like my elevator speech, and then I practice it, and I say it out loud, and I say it out loud, and I write it down, and I say it out loud, because then when I do say it, it kind of flows out nicer. And I'm not going to lie, I say it the same way every time, just like I use the feel, felt, found every time, because that's what comes most naturally to me, organically, that comes out of me. So you have to find what works best for you. Practice in the mirror, practice with a teammate, practice with your spouse. Just say, hey, can we role play with me, and, be a customer who isn't interested because of time, or be, a potential who isn't interested because of price or whatever, and get comfortable with how all of that plays out. So we talked about time, we talked about cost, size of your network and not really knowing anybody. I would definitely say that you explain to them the idea of duplication, the idea of the power of 3. I would even, for someone like that, send them a video or send them a photo of what the power of 3 is. Because honestly, we don't have to know hundreds of thousands of people. We don't have to have some huge network in order to make this business work. You have to know 3 people. And so I think when you break it down and make it that simple, you could say, I totally understand what you're saying. Or get somebody, I think Tamara Holloway, who's a Diamond Ambassador, had 120 Facebook friends when she joined Plexus. I totally understand what you're saying. This Diamond Ambassador, Tamara Holloway, and you can Google this stuff. You can find it on Facebook, whatever. This Diamond Ambassador, Tamara Holloway, only knew 120 people on Facebook when she joined, and she's a Diamond Ambassador. We should share, let me find her Diamond documentary and share that with you. Let me share this information about the power of 3 with you, and duplication, whatever, to show them that is not true. The value of the products, I would say, totally goes to the idea of, I understand that, you don't see where this might fit into your life, but you know what? You've got to know enough about that person to say, but, you've come to me for some reason about this. So tell me what it is that you're not happy with your health or your finances. There's something that brought you to me. There's some reason you're asking me about this. And so, you tell me what it is. Or if there's somebody who into super into fitness and you're approaching them, then you might say to them, listen, I know these products have A, B, and C in them, and I know these products are going to be incredible for you. And so this is why I'm sharing them with you. They're not going to be for everybody, but if somebody has come to you, there's a reason. You need to figure that out. And then you'll see, they don't come to you asking about Plexus and then go, oh, this is not for me. I just eat right and, whatever. No, there was a reason you came here. There's something not working in your health, and we need to tease that out and figure out what it is. When talking about not getting results fast enough, I totally would use feel, felt, found. Totally understand how you feel. My friend Melissa, my friend Susan, my friend whoever felt the very same way. And what they found was their bodies were totally out of whack, and it was going to take more time. Let me share a testimony with you about, some people who gave it the time it deserved and invested in themselves, and were so thankful afterwards that they allowed the products to work at their own pace. You just have to acknowledge. It's all about acknowledging how they feel and then showing them a different perspective. So I hope that helped. I will stop recording now. This is essentially over.